Hello and welcome to TVOL, where we talk about tactics and their evolution. Today we're going to be focusing on a match between Manchester United and Aston Villa in the FA Cup, which resulted in a 1-0 victory, probably undeserved, to Manchester United. What we're going to be looking at in particular is where Rangnick goes from here after this disappointing result. One of the things that Rangnick was very keen to point out in the pre-match press conference was the extent to which he had overseen an improvement from a defensive point of view, which is true. The numbers in front of you demonstrate over time, looking at the orange line first of all, coinciding with Rangnick's first match, you can see that United are conceding fewer chances. This is the Premier League matches only, just so that it is more comparable last season into this season, and as said, noting Crystal Palace as his first match. But from an attacking point of view, as measured by expected goals, so this is the quality and the frequency, the number, the volume of the chances that United are creating, that was the thing that he wanted the team to focus on, and he'd done particular preparation in the lead up to this match. I don't think this match in particular showed much progress on either side, and this video is dedicated to, from a selection point of view and from a team structure point of view, what might last 15 or 20 minutes or so with the introduction of Van der Beek and a move to a midfield diamond, tell us about how Man United might set up in their next match, coincidentally also against Aston Villa in the league, and the matches after that. In the post-match press conference, Rangnick talked quite a lot about the element of control, the control of the centre of the pitch, control of the midfield. It wasn't really clear whether he considered the first 17 minutes or so to be a success in having theoretically three central midfielders. The issue, which is very clearly demonstrated by this picture of the match and some subsequent ones, which I'll show you in a second, is that Fernandes does not play as a midfielder, especially in this match. He's really quite far forward. So what happens in this sequence is that Greenwood is running down the right-hand side. He just doesn't have the options in the centre of the field. You can see Fernandes taking up a very advanced position, centre-forward position, really at the top of the screen, and Greenwood has to move back and circulate the ball. What Fernandes does rather is he was making a lot of runs into the channels. I mean, presumably he was being asked to do this, and what that meant was that he was vacating the middle of the park. So Shaw was finding him in the channel there, and then you have Dalot a bit later on also finding Fernandes on the run, stretching the back line of Aston Villa. Interestingly, with Cavani coming short, and when you look at the average player positions, which we'll do in just a second, you can see that if anything it was Cavani looking to support the central midfielders, being McTominay and Fred, aka McFred, rather than Fernandes playing that role. Cavani, such an excellent player, almost everyone would agree with that statement, but dropping deep and linking the play isn't particularly an obvious part of his skill set. Another few examples now to illustrate this theme. United were really, I mean, from an attacking point of view, particularly early on in the match, they were vacating the centre and looking to progress around Aston Villa, which is fine. Here you have the ball being hit down the line for a channel run again by Fernandes. He's linking up effectively with Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side, which I think makes sense. I mean, that's something, an interplay that was absent from the Wolves match, which of course Fernandes didn't play in, with the wide players Greenwood and Rashford being isolated. Here's an interesting example, I think, where Fred is switching the ball out to Shaw. United often look to Shaw to progress the play, an effective distributor, particularly an effective carrier of the ball in possession. So Shaw makes his way up the field. He's not looking inside. So Aston Villa have, through their three quite narrow midfielders, good coverage and control of that area. Fernandes again is further forward, and we can see this pattern repeated throughout the match. He did drop a bit deeper towards the end of the first half than the beginning of the second, but then he reverted to a sort of, you might call it a false nine, but really most of the time he was, a kind of a centre forward, effectively pinning and stretching a back line. So here we have Shaw having carried the ball down the left hand side, looking for Cavani in that case. Here, switching to the right-hand side of the field, you can see how United are just not able to progress through the centre. And here Lindelof moves the ball out to Dalot. Dalot, like Shaw regularly did throughout the match, effectively carries the ball up the right-hand side and then stops, because he doesn't have any options. So the paths are closed ahead of him. Again, Villa have control of the centre. So could a midfield diamond work? Of course, it was tried towards the end of the match, so it must have been something that they had planned, at least as a plan B. Let's take a look, because for the last 20 minutes or so, that's exactly what they did. So Aston Villa remained in the same shape with the three centre midfielders. I think in this case it's supplemented by Buendia dropping deep as he tended to do. Fernandes is on the ball here, and you can see a diamond beginning to form here with Fernandes, Van de Beek, McTominay and Fred. And I think this can be a more effective way of controlling possession, but also linking up more effectively in the final third. Because what Fernandes likes to do is a sort of mercurial number 10 role. Van de Beek is similar, but maybe a little bit more disciplined. And I think what these examples show is that there can be a lot of effective interchange. So Fernandes here and Van de Beek are moving out towards the right-hand side, playing off Greenwood. So the wide players get more support. Well, in this case, they would be centre forwards, but they would be playing in wide areas and running channels at times. Here we have Greenwood, I think, dropping deep, playing the ball into Fred with Fernandes and Van de Beek highlighted. Fred receives the ball, Fernandes peels out to the right-hand side, and he is able to link up with Van de Beek and Greenwood towards the right from there. So I think it makes more sense from a defensive point of view, having more control and at times numerical superiority in the centre, but it also allows those two forward players, being Van de Beek and Fernandes, to link up with each other and exchange positions and pull defenders out of shape, pull the defence out of shape rather. So here Fernandes picks it up in a high position, he then comes deeper, receives the ball, and then Van de Beek is running in behind. So I think this can be a much more effective way of setting up, just simply from a formation perspective. Here is how the teams lined up, and you can already see that Villa are going to have this superiority in the centre of the field as far as numbers are concerned. Here we have an example scenario of Shaw in possession out on the left-hand side, carrying the ball forward, which he does very well, but is unable to see very many options in the centre. Aston Villa have relatively good control, even as noted in this case with Cavani at times dropping deep. Fernandes has other priorities on his mind, and I think there's a lot of benefits to him going out and linking with the wide players, which he did. I think this kind of diamond setup can work really, really effectively. I mean, the risk is that it becomes too narrow, but I think that risk can be managed by effective and clever movement by the forward players. So you'd have to pick a couple of central strikers, which Rangnick mentioned. So Greenwood and Rashford, until the further substitutions took on that role, they would obviously need to pick and choose the opportunities to move wide and stretch the play, with Van de Beek and Fernandes in support of that, allowing McTominay and Fred to play much more of a clearer defensive role, whereas at the moment they're asked to play that defensive role and progress the ball forward, and honestly they're just not very effective at that. So I think it's something that's worth trying. Of course, he tried it for the last 20 minutes, so it'll be fascinating to see whether he continues with that experiment. A lot of Man United fans I know would like to see Van de Beek at least given a chance, and I think he can be an effective option within that diamond formation. And that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please express that by hitting the like button. While you're there, you may as well subscribe to the channel, and why not leave me a comment and I will get back to you. Take a look at some of my other videos on the screen right now, and we will see you next time.